The letter from the leaders of both congressional committees expressed their serious concern that hosting the 2023 AGOA Forum in South Africa would serve as an implicit endorsement of what it calls South Africa's damaging support for Russia's invasion of Ukraine and possible violations of US sanctions law. They believe Pretoria's posture calls into question South Africa's eligibility to trade benefits under the African Growth and Opportunity Act due to statutory requirements that beneficiary countries not engage in activities that undermine US national security or foreign policy interests. The group further questioned why a country in danger of losing its AGOA benefits should have the privilege of hosting the forum. The letter is addressed to US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, US Trade Representative Catherine Tai, and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. It specifically lists the South African government's neutral stance on Russia's unlawful invasion, while pointing to a deepening military relationship with Moscow over the last 12 months. It mentions the sanctioned Russian cargo vessel that docked in Simonstown last December, citing US intelligence allegations that the South African government covertly supplied Russia with arms and ammunition, and the South African government's efforts to facilitate the ICC-indicted Russian President Vladimir Putin's in-person attendance of the BRICS Summit in South Africa this August, warning that these actions call into question South Africa's eligibility to AGOA, while the Department of International Relations and Cooperation was quick to temper the emerging narrative.
This letter by the 4 U.S. Congress members to U.S. Secretary of State Blinken is noted. However, it's important to emphasize that there is currently no decision by the State Department or the White House to move the AGOA Forum from South Africa. South Africa remains the host. President Cyril Ramaphosa's special envoys recently visited the United States of America to meet and explain South Africa's active non-aligned position on the Russia-Ukraine conflict to key stakeholders and decision makers. South African diplomats in Washington continue to engage on these matters daily.
This was an exchange with Washington's UN envoy and a member of the White House National Security Council 2 weeks ago.
We can't tell South Africa how they should promote their own foreign policy, but we have been clear in all of our messaging that Russia's unprovoked war on Ukraine needs to be condemned, and any country taking actions to support Russia, I think, goes against all of the values that we hold close as a country, but also in the United Nations.
Are secondary sanctions off the table in this regard?
We have not taken anything off the table, but we've not put anything on the table.
But the table exists, right?
The table exists.
The letter signed by Democratic Senator Chris Coons, who chairs the Senate Subcommittee on State and Foreign Operations, and Republican Representative Michael McCall, who chairs the House Foreign Relations Committee, urged the Biden administration to explore other possible locations to host the AGOA Forum, particularly if South Africa continued, in its words, to demonstrate support for Russia's unlawful invasion of Ukraine. The South African presidency this week warned that talk of sanctions against the country were alarmist and undermined South Africa's sovereignty and the stability of its economy. Sherman Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.